What is up, everybody? It's Dr. Vibe here, host and producer of the award-winning Dr. Vibe Show, the home of Epic Conversations, and I'm the host of Epic Conversations, 2018 Innovation Award winner, 2018 Best Podcast News Award winner given out by the Canadian Ethnic Media Association. I also co-host and co-produce the only online show in the world for dads, fathers, and male caregivers. It's sponsored by Dove Men Plus Care, and being part of that team, we've connected directly and indirectly. Let me get that word right, the wording right. Connected directly and indirectly with over 400,000 dads, fathers, and male caregivers around the world. And as always, I like to say you're blessed, highly favored, a magnet for miracles. And we're broadcasting on Black Canada Talking on May 25th. And in Toronto, we want to know when we're going to see the sun again. Like, we're supposed to get a day of sunshine tomorrow. That's it. And it's going to get rainy and cloudy all over again. But would love to get a string of good spring weather, like sunshine, can wear shorts. I'd like to get some yard work done in some decent conditions, but I got to get it done anyways. But just hoping that I have some good weather. As always, on Black Canada Talking, most of the time we're joined by Cesar Ndema-Moussa. What is up, Cesar?
Survive, I'm good. Thank you. Thank you to all our allies, brothers and sisters on the show. Thank you all for having me. Good
stuff. Good stuff. So what's been going on in your world?
Oh, Dr. Vibe, I joined you with the hopes of, summer heat.
Ha!
The sun, I wanted to wash my car today, but it looked like it was going to rain, and it did rain indeed.
Yeah.
I did do some yard work, and I shall get back to doing it after dinner because I'm traveling for the week.
Oh, yeah. Okay. So, yeah, I wanted to cut the hedges, and I think I'll be able to do it. I think the rain has stopped momentarily, but we'll see what happens. Where are you traveling to this week?
From Ottawa to Toronto.
Yes, that's right. Your how many I did get the message. You're going to be in for how many days?
Basically Thursday night. I'm arriving in Toronto Thursday evening, and I have a day-long meeting, Black leaders, Friday all day, and 4 or 5 p.m. I'll be driving back to Ottawa. I'll be stopping in different cities, basically.
Yeah.
I'm leaving Ottawa, 4 cities in between, then I get to Toronto. Yeah.
So do we
every time in a new city, every time in a different city on my way to Toronto.
So is this Cesar on tour? I'm not saying. I'm just saying. You're saying this stop.
It's for work.
Let me ask: are you in Toronto? Are you staying in the west end of Toronto or east end?
I do not know yet because Monday I will find out which hotel the executive assistant has put me in.
Okay, I'm hoping it's in the east end.
It's only Toronto. I don't know which hotel I'm at.
Well, yeah, as soon as possible, tell me so we can get together. Like if it's in the east end, I wouldn't want you to have to leave the west end. I want you to stop before you get home. I'm speaking it's going to be in the east end because I got a great restaurant for us to sit down and eat at. Really good, really. But we'll find a way of getting together and making it happen. How is family?
Family is good. Yeah, I'm having a mother coming to visit. Yesterday, one of my cousins had his wedding engagement party.
Oh, wow.
The family is growing. Truly international.
Okay.
He's, it's part of the beauty of the diversity of the world that we live in. I mean, I might be wrong, but I think it will be the first time that I will basically family extending now to Hong Kong and China.
Oh, so okay.
Yeah, so but I'm like, doesn't matter, if the person coming into the family is from planet XYZ, Black consciousness must be alive. It must be alive.
Interesting. Interesting. Interesting.
Mm.
Uh, quick question for you.
Yeah.
How has your work, I'm gonna save it because I think it ties into our last story today. So I'm gonna hold off. I'm gonna hold off for our last story. Let me pivot a different way. Uh,
Mm.
what do you feel programming for Black Canadians will be with the upcoming government?
Well, allow me to answer, not by deflecting, but by giving the example of few other successful communities in Canada: Jewish community, Sikh community, Chinese community. Ultimately, it doesn't matter which government is in place if the community is strong.
Okay.
Fortunately for our Black people, the issue is not so much dirty, like I often say, the Black community is socially conservative, but politically liberal slash Democrat. But the issue, contrary to what so many of our brothers and sisters, notably, will call themselves politically conservative, the issue is not about voting 75 to 90% liberal or Democrat in the US or socialist in France. No, the issue is the strength of the community. The Jewish community votes 75 to 80% Democrat, and yet, doesn't matter which party is in power, they vie for the Jewish vote because the community is not just strong, but it is strong in terms of issues that matter, socioeconomically strong, tied to power, senior leadership in institutions that matter. No disrespect to our brothers and sisters, but you can't have, what is it, 85% NBA players being Black, all millionaires, and not even 10% of owners are Black. And I'm saying owners. Majority of so-called Black owners of NBA teams are minority owners.
Correct.
We don't live in a world in which we can imagine any sector that would have 85% Chinese, Jews, Indians, Japanese. They're all millionaires, and they're not the owners of the teams. It's not a world that we live in.
Mm. Okay, but before we go to break, I want to ask then, on a on a scale of 0 to 10,
Mhm.
zero being no power at all to 10 that we have immense amount of power, what would you rate the on that scale Black Canadian power on that scale from 0 to 10?
Black Canadians power?
Yeah.
That's an excellent question. It's very much a question that we even should have talked about before the elections. Let me put it to you like this. Unfortunately, this is the paradox of the Black community in relation to the other communities that I just talked about. We have a weak Black community. Some people may hear me and think, oh, he's sabotaging, he's negative, he's. No, no, no. We have a weak Black community, but we have strong Black individuals. The problem is this, though. Look at my hand. The Black community is strong individuals, but weak community. This is how we stand. The other communities, you can have a weak Jewish, Chinese, Indian, Japanese individual, but the community is strong. This is why we don't associate poverty to those communities, and yet they do have poverty. If I'm not mistaken, in Canada, the poverty rate of the Jewish community is anywhere from 15 to 30%.
Got
But
it.
that's wild to think of. Meanwhile, for the Black community, just looking at the um, single motherhood single motherhood rate, which is anywhere about 70 to 75%, and FYI, it's higher for mixed slash biracial kids will have a white mother. It becomes a problem when as individuals we are strong, but our community is weak. Therefore, we are seen first and foremost through the lens of the community. And that's why we suffer such, how do you call that? Backhanded compliments like you are not like the other Black people, or you are XYZ positive for a Black person, which is not a compliment. Meanwhile, the other communities, even if a Jewish, Chinese, you name it, person is poor, uneducated, etc., they are seen first and foremost through the lens of the community that imposes respect. I didn't say like them. Too many Black people care about being liked. Communities in power and that are stable care about respect. Now, in fairness, our Black communities worldwide have been decimated in their identity, not just over decades, not just over centuries, but for those who are knowledgeable in history, for millennia. So it's not surprising that the communities of Black peoples are so and so weak. The exceptions only confirm the norm, while for other communities, the norm is to be strong. The exceptions is to be weak. Nobody gets surprised that a Jewish person, for example, and I purposely say Jewish because, it's like quick attention drawing, right? Nobody gets surprised that a Jewish person will get support to succeed, notably in STEM fields. But we tend to celebrate and be surprised when it's a Black person. Although we do have Blacks who have succeeded, they have a lot of success. Robert Smith, billionaire, is in those fields. But
Right.
it's surprising to us because the norm for us is an entertainer, an athlete. Look at the list of Black billionaires in the US. How many of them are athletes compared to the rest? Look at the list of billionaires in the white, Jewish, Chinese communities. How many of them are athletes compared to the rest?
Enough said. All right, we are going to go for a very quick break. We'll be back in 30 seconds, and Cesar will be back in. We'll probably have to cut down the amount of stories because he has to leave at the top of the hour, but let's get our commercial break done first.
Family dinner.
There you
Very
go.
good morning. It's the best way to start the week with the morning vibe.
I think we're looking at social media as this real. It's not real, y'all. Like it's really not real, and it's putting a lot of pressure on Black men.
And the government is concentrating on giving funding to community organizations instead of businesses.
Then you cannot ignore the fact that the American market in almost every single arena is about 100 times larger than the Canadian market.
There you go. Monday and Friday mornings, 9 a.m. Eastern Time, 6 a.m. Pacific. The Morning Vibe with myself and co-host Ryan O'Neill Knight. Let's get to our housework quick. Please subscribe to the Dr. Vibe Show on YouTube and hit the notification button. Like the Dr. Vibe Show on Facebook, LinkedIn, and Instagram to advertise your business, product, or service on any of the platforms that I am on. Excuse me. Email me at dr.vibe at the dr.vibe@theshow.com. And finally, don't forget Indie Soup TV, run by our good friend Dr. Tachi out of Fort Lauderdale, Florida. Approximately 30 independent content creators and coming near 30,000 YouTube subscribers in about 14, 15 months. So check it out. A lot of the content you see wherever you're watching this is on that platform. So Cesar, before we get into our stories, I think we should only try to get to 2 of them because of time. And I'm suggesting the second and the third topic would be the one we want to look at. So let me pull.
That's fine.
Yeah. So our first topic for today, Afrikaners as refugees. Go for it.
Well, I mean, we've heard about the news in terms of Donald Trump receiving those 59 Afrikaners, but I want to connect it to the visit of South Africa's president, Cyril Ramaphosa, of the ANC, Africa's National Congress, the party of Madiba, Nelson Mandela, our great leader. Basically, this is Donald Trump making a mockery of the very notion of refugees and But I'm saying making a mockery. No, it's just being in true Trump style. Um, Supremacy being promoted, the very rejection of the notion of facts. And I say this um, in the context of rising hate rhetoric on social media, racism being more and more quite open under this Trump 2.0 administration, but also social media, such as Facebook. Giving away, letting go of fact checkers, and I don't mean censor police as if we are in a communist state, but the very notion of even some ethics, some respectability being gone. So these Afrikaners will literally the very I think Minister of Agriculture of South Africa who was there with President Ramaphosa, white Minister of Agriculture, Afrikaner himself, letting Donald Trump know, no, these are not refugees because there is no white genocide going on in South Africa. It is ridiculous. Probably saying what others have heard. There's no white genocide. It was even confirmed that the so-called either crosses or burial sites of white farmers that were provided by Elon Musk to Donald Trump. Um, Again, it wasn't what was painted. It wasn't what was claimed by Donald Trump. I mean, I'm saying this as if, Donald Trump since 2016 has gotten us used. Him who brought forth the notion of fake news is the champion of fake news himself. You know, um, kind of like I saw this great meme online about Donald Trump basically saying, anytime I speak, assume that I'm lying. So it's an insult when you also consider the fact that you have thousands of Afghans who notably risked their lives to help the US Army are being stopped from coming into the USA as refugees. You have people who are truly refugees who are dying, whether we look at Sudan, we look at Haiti, we look at Palestine, who are being denied entrance in the United States. And yet, all international organizations do agree that they absolutely deserve refugee status. This administration, and I dedicate this to our Black Republicans, will bend over on all sides to justify anything and everything that Trump and the Trump Lincolns, I don't think we can even keep calling them Republicans at this point, the Trump Lincolns keep claiming. This administration does not hide being a white supremacist organization. They make it in plain sight. And this is such a perfect example, notably for us as a Black community, in seeing how, I don't know if arrogance is the term, I don't know if nerve, but it's in your face. It's in your face. It's the denial that you may want to put regarding these situations. Afrikaners, the people who established apartheid. Let me put it in perspective to our people. This is as if being in the 1950s. Brazil and Argentina, South American countries where anti-Black racism is documented. Argentina having lost the vast majority of its Black population over decades due to Blacks being put on the front line, aka cannon fodder, but also diseases and starvation. And Brazil, where the state that had the Western state that lasted slavery the longest, aka 1888. 1888. The state in which Blacks, Africans were kidnapped and imported by force, slavery, 5 times higher rate than in the USA, and dying also at a rate of 2.5 times more than in the USA. This is as if we are in the early 1950s and Brazil and or Argentina would be giving refugee status to Nazi who are trying to escape Europe, trying to escape the judgment of the trial of Nuremberg. This is very much how I see it. And I purposely, Dr. Vibe, you know this about me, I purposely bring forth the so-called Godwin point, because too often, even for far too many Black people, when you bring that Black consciousness, that Black intellectualism, people tend to not understand, as if you're speaking some foreign language. Bringing the Jewish element, lights on. Suddenly they get it. Suddenly they're, oh, okay, now okay. I used to think it was only white people who had that, but I realized many Black people, because of the social conditioning that we have. Like, what does it matter? Why is this such a big deal? It's only 59 people. And I mean, isn't it true that white farmers are being killed in South Africa? White South African police themselves clearly state there is no urgency or no particular victimization of white farmers, notably in contrast to Black farmers. Even more when we look at the fact that South Africa, if I'm not mistaken, 80% Black, 10% white, 10% others, aka Indians, Asians, etc. 10% whites will control, I think it's 90% of agricultural land. And apparently they're the refugees. No, it's an insult. It's an insult, once again, by the same administration that doesn't hide its white supremacist tendency. And my issue is not with them. As I always say, my issue is not with them. My issues, I deny, deflect, and also those who think they can stand aside, not getting involved to change the narratives.
Okay. Before I forget, JJ Mars says, good Sunday afternoon, Dr. Vibe, to you and your guest. And want to say also, if you want to get a hold of Cesar, email address is president at Roots and Culture Canada. President at, culturecanada.com. Facebook, Cesar Remy Emery. Before we move on to our other topic for today, which is a bigger shake your head? 47 bringing out this propaganda about the Afrikaners being mistreated, or some Americans believing it?
I was listening to a philosophy study, which basically addressed the issue of which is worse, evil or stupidity. Stupidity is worse than evil, because evil knows it's evil, and as such, evil tries to constantly persuade you that it is not what it is. Stupidity is worse because stupidity, despite facts and proof, will stubbornly, due to indoctrination, due to whatever you want to call it, will refuse to see the truth. As our hero, Dr. Reverend Martin Luther King said, there is nothing more dangerous than sincere ignorance and conscientious stupidity. I think that's how he put it. Trump, and I had a debate yesterday at the wedding engagement party, family wedding engagement party. We were talking about this, and a surprise, many who were there, because I told them it's not so much Trump the problem, not even his followers. So when you ask me which kind of ad is sought worse, it's America. It's the very America which, from its founding in 1776, committed the original sin: all men are created equal and free, but the slaves stay in the fields, aka Black people stay in the fields. And this entire story has always been between claiming to be this, but this is the reality. Don't get me wrong, there has been progress. Of course, there's been progress, but the very reality of the nature of the progress makes it that it's not so much this story that is so much shocking, or people believing that there's actually a white genocide. It's the fact that we go back last year, despite all the proofs and facts against Donald Trump, including insurrection, including so many lies, including statutory rape / sexual assault, he was still able to be reelected. If you are able to cross that line, something that even in most countries, including dictatorships, it would be like, wow, that's amazing. So this is the so-called American democracy. You cannot be surprised by this. Afrikaners being claimed as white genocide and brought in as refugees. It is a drop in the cup, and the cup was already full in November when Trump got reelected. Anything and everything else that comes after that, such as the tariffs, for example, is just a continuation of the cup being full, and every drop just adds to the spilling of it. There is no salvation of the cup. It was already full in November when the re-election happened. The re-election was a big drop that spilled it all, when truly one would have thought January 6, 2021 had already spilled any hope of that individual orange man not only being re-elected, but remaining in politics.
All
To
right.
me, it's not shocking. The real question is, we are what, May 25? What will be the hot topic next week?
Well, we could do a daily, right?
Daily, there you go.
We could, because we're not talking about him going now with 50% tariffs on the EU, wanting to is basically has Apple saying if Apple doesn't start manufacturing in the US,
25%.
25%. He's also saying that of Samsung, et cetera, et cetera. But my question to 47 would be, well, what happened to all these deals you said you had ready to go?
Listen, the man didn't even really write the book, and the co-author of the book, just as the producers of the show, what was the show he was on? The show he was on.
You're fired.
You Fired, yes, that show.
Why am I forgetting it?
The co-author and producers came out clearly saying that they boosted his image and they did most of the work. No, Donald Trump is truly the art of the no deal. But it's the art of the no deal, because we have been told so many deals. Look, Trump is a propaganda machine. If he likes you, you become the most amazing XYZ whatever. His administration are the most qualified, competent people until we see the damage that they cause to themselves. So
The Apprentice. The Apprentice.
Yeah. The Apprentice. He should have been the apprentice of someone since the moment he was born. But this is what ultimate privilege is. The man has never been held accountable, and the closest he came to being accountable, we saw the failures of Mary Garland, of the justice, the Supreme Court. We saw the failure of Joe Biden. They failed. Remember what I said: Mitch McConnell, Justice Roberts, Mary Garland, Joe Biden. History, in years to come, decades to come, will hold these four men responsible for the fact that Trump never saw the inside of a jail and got reelected.
Well, as astute political commentator David Fromm says, two things that 47 cares about: himself and money. That's it.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's it. All right, let's do another topic before Cesar has to leave us. And actually, today is the 5th anniversary of the killing of George Floyd. So Cesar has some thoughts on that, and also some thoughts on how it relates to Malcolm X. Go ahead, Cesar.
So let us start with how it relates to Malcolm X. 5 years since our brother, and when I say our brother, there is no hypocrisy. I've said it before. While alive, it is quite unlikely that George Floyd and I would have been friends. But in death, he was killed because he's a black man, aka could have been any black man. He's our brother, just as so many others, aka #say her name, are our sisters. 5 years since his passing, aka his death. Earlier in the week, May 19, 100 years since the birth of our leader, Malcolm X. Malcolm Little, Malcolm X, Al-Hajj Malik al-Shabazz. It is a reminder as this president will never hid his contempt for Black activists and social justice. In contrast to the fact that he used to be, many Black celebrities have photos with Donald Trump because he was, of course, in all the celebrity gatherings in the entertainment field. Um, it's interesting that this man so opposes Black activism, and it's not about Milwaukee and the protest of 2020 and what they claim destroying the cities. No, 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 no. The man has within himself a history of anti-Black racism. I don't care for those who talk about him, Muhammad Ali, photo with Oprah. No, this is a man who's him and his father, and I'm taking this from my wife's family side, how they explained to me how living in the 70s in New York City, the Trump were known for discrimination against Black tenants. And that made it to the news. We're talking about a Donald Trump who was calling for the execution of Black, and I think 4 Black and 1 Latino youth. Central Park 5, aka Exonerated 5. He never apologized. We're talking about a man, Saint Obama / birtherism, doubting that Barack Obama is actually American. He knows he's American. Meanwhile, he himself is a descendant of German migrants. The man does not hide his racism and notably his contempt towards Black, educated, intelligent people, such as he demonstrated towards Black female journalists last year. So, 5 years after George Floyd, we are seeing a rescinding of the progress that has been made since, as Donald Trump, right from the start, I/EDI programs and efforts in the salvation of the fragile white population in the United States. Now, notice I didn't say all white people, because there are many white allies, and there has been more white allies since 2020. The honor that I had to deliver the keynote speech at the Ottawa Black Lives Matter protest in 2020, I saw there were so many white people who were there in support, saying Black Lives Matter, no justice, no peace. And yet we see this president, just as in our previous conversation regarding Afrikaners as refugees, an open and outright white supremacist agenda. Borderline, you must wonder if there are no hoods hiding in the closet. Because the hood, the white hood mentality, is in plain sight for all of us to see. And again, I don't really blame them. That was expected. How can you be surprised of such politics by a man who was calling the death of innocent Black youth, despite the proof that they didn't commit the act, and he never apologized? So it's so surprising. I hold accountable our Black people. Choose, because it's a choice, we choose to be seduced. We choose to claim to be Trump fans, Trump supporters, and as such truly betray the Black cause. And when I reflect about how it's been 100 years since Malcolm X died, there is a picture of our brother Malcolm X. God, he's held by a Japanese woman, Yuri Koshiyama, a great activist. Her children are activists. It's important to remember we've always had allies to our cause, even when we didn't see them. And Brother Malcolm X inspired strongly the Black Power movement, but also with Dr. Reverend Martin Luther King, the Asian civil rights movement in the United States. So when we see George Floyd, let us not forget, it wasn't just us Black people walking and saying Black Lives Matter, fist in the air. Don't get me wrong. Much respect to our brother Colin Kaepernick, but I never agreed to putting a knee down. Stand up and keep your fist in the air. Mr. Justin Trudeau had put his knee down, and I believe he had said sorry or something like that. I opposed that, and I said that in my speech during the protests in 2020. And as much as some progress has been made, fundings and programs, said, like you were asking at the beginning, the community is weak. And unfortunately, the progress, police killings have not exactly lessened. Some cities, even as the Trump administration has chose to end programs of police reform, and notably there are talks about freeing the murderer Derek Chauvin. The reality is that police brutality is still killing Black people, is still killing minorities, and still killing white people living in poverty. What would Brother Malcolm X have said if he was alive today? What would Martin Luther King have said if he was alive today? Afrikaners as refugees? What would Madiba Nelson Mandela have said if he was alive today? This is why I'm a Pan-Africanist. They're not here. I'm not claiming to speak for them, but I cannot have the photo up on my wall and stay silent. Because even when we had that brother, Bob Marley, talking about One Love and all other great songs, even he would have stayed silent. And let's not forget something. Orange Man, aka number 47, aka Donald Trump, his motivation to become president didn't come out of love of the Constitution of America. It is clear, it is recorded, jealousy of a Black man named Barack Obama. All the brothers, all the leaders, all the Black leaders up there on my wall. It's a historic time that we are living. I invite our Black people to ask themselves where they stand.
All right. Well, that will be it for today's show. Cesar is on borrowed time because he's got to go eat with the family.
Family dinner, my friends, family
yeah.
dinner.
So as always, if you want to get a hold of Cesar, email address, president@rootsandculturecanada.com, Facebook, Cesar, Remy Emery. Cesar, thank you as always on tight time.
May I say one last,
go ahead.
Give one last message?
Yes, sir.
We don't need a month for this, and this was supposed to be our first topic, but I will just speak on it for 1 minute. We don't need a month for this, but the month of May is Mental Health Awareness Month. Mental health is a crisis in the Black community. It's a silent killer, as I was reading, I think, yesterday about a murder. A son will kill his father somewhere in Quebec. They're from Cameroon, my birth country.
Mm-hmm.
I read stories in the US. Black men killing Black women.
Mm-hmm.
Killings between genders. Women killing women, men killing men.
Mm-hmm.
I hear too often, allow me to give credit. I'm not going to take the credit here. Professor of the University of Ottawa, professor of psychology. I was so gladly impressed about how he called out. He's a Christian, he's a practicing Christian, but he said it himself. In our Black community, mental health is hidden under so-called Jesus, Allah, and demons. When therapy is what is needed, tough conversations, changing behaviors, holding one another accountable. What makes it worse, as an educator who has had the privilege of speaking to our youth in high schools, but also adults in college, universities, and professional places, it is a terrible failure that we are doing as a community to want to raise the fist and say we are Black and proud, but for far too many, and when I say mental health, connected to being part of the LGBT community, but Black, not feeling beauty standards while being Black, not having certain achievements, successes while being Black, etc., while being Black. We cannot claim to be Black and proud and not share and not show the caring that goes with calling one another a community.
Well, before you leave, just one other thing too, and I may get pushback on this, but there are more deaths via Black on Black crime than Blacks killed by the police.
Oh yes. No. Whoever wants to push on that.
Yeah.
And I know what the pushback will be. Every community, the vast majority of crimes, harm, you name it, rape, murder, is by people of the same community. Absolutely, that's true.
That's a conversation that isn't brought up. There is
exactly.
Which
but when we talk about police killings of Blacks, there are more killings of Blacks by Blacks than police/white police killing Black people. That is a fact. Whoever wants to push on you on that, I'll push back on them.
Yeah, and also that's a piece of the old mental health piece also.
There you go. Because a lot of black on black killings are actually hidden under mental health, lack of bad communication, family disputes, intergenerational adverse childhood experiences, socioeconomics, etc.
I think we'll go into
Hi, Dr. Tashi. I saw Dr. Tashi saying hi.
Yeah, I think we got to go deeper into it the next time we chat. You go eat before the boss comes into the screen. You take care.
Take care. Thank you so much, everyone.
All right. That's it. And Dr. Tachi, sorry you came in, but Cesar had to run, but he had to go. So no problems. So some things before we just close down. If you want to get a hold of me, website, the drvibeshow.com, YouTube, Facebook, and LinkedIn, The Dr. Vibe Show, Instagram at The Dr. Vibe Show, X/Twitter at drvibeshow, email as dr.vibe at the drvibeshow.com. You can also catch me on Substack at dr.vibe.substack.com/subscribe, and also on Blue Sky at vibe.bsky.social. We close it out like this always. Live your life as a dream. If you can dream it, you can make it. Sometimes you have to get small to get stronger. Block assumptions, then aim bigger, aim better, aim higher, aim wider. Love, faith, and respect. Don't just manage your time, manage your energy. Remember to give yourself grace. And if you're not making money, make history. Try to do both. And finally, make it better. God bless. Peace to you all. Keep the faith and walk good.
Just take a quick moment.
Yeah.
You just introduce yourself. Let Dr. Vibe welcome you into the show. As I told you, Dr. Vibe.
No. I welcome. I'm really good to have you here. I didn't want to. You were on a roll. I didn't want to interrupt. You were on a roll, but
in an award created by whites, dominated by whites, run by whites, and you're a billionaire, bro. FYI, I don't. It's probably the first time of the year that I use the word bro.
Yes, it is. That's the first time as long as I've known you used it.
My daughter would laugh.
But for many people, the economy ain't great. There we go. I saw that.